If you could hear the voice that runs through your mind every single day, would you call it your friend or your enemy? Would you be proud of the way you speak to yourself in silence? See, most people fail not because they don't have the skill, the drive, or the vision. They fail because the loudest voice in their life is their own. And that voice is filled with doubt, fear, and negativity. But what if, for just 3 days, you changed the script? What if you spoke to yourself like someone you respected, loved, and believed in? For just 3 days, no negativity, no self-hate, no rehearsing failure, only faith-filled, future-focused, God-aligned words. Talk to yourself like this, and your life will never be the same. Your words are not random, they are prophetic. Every time you open your mouth, you are either planting seeds or scattering weeds. You are either releasing power or repeating pain. And the truth is, most people are not defeated by life, they are defeated by their own lips. The way you speak about your future sets the tone for what you will walk into. And if you want to change your life, you must first change your language. You don't speak where you are, you speak where you're going. The problem is, most people rehearse their pain more than they declare their promise. They wake up and talk about how tired they are, how stuck they feel, how nothing is working, how far they are from where they want to be. They use their voice to confirm their limitations, not to challenge them. They describe the wilderness instead of declaring the promised land. And they wonder why nothing shifts. But let me tell you something deep and true. When God created the world, he didn't use his hands, he used his mouth. He spoke light, he spoke life, he spoke form into the void. And you were made in his image, which means you were never meant to use your words just to describe your life. You were meant to use them to design it. You must speak the end from the beginning. That means before you see it, you say it. Before it manifests, you magnify it. Before it shows up, you sow it with your voice. Because faith doesn't wait for confirmation. Faith creates confirmation. Faith talks like it's already done. But this kind of speaking is uncomfortable at first, especially when everything around you is screaming the opposite. When your bank account is empty and you say, I'm wealthy, when your body is sick and you say, I'm healed, when your marriage is broken and you say, we're restored, when your dreams seem dead and you say, I'm rising. People might call it denial, but it's not denial, it's dominion. It's authority. It's alignment. It's the power to speak what you know is true, even when you can't yet see it. This is how heaven partners with earth through the voice of the believer. Let me show you what this looks like with a simple but powerful example. There was a young man named Elijah early in his career, broke and discouraged. He had just started a small business, but everything that could go wrong did. His inventory was delayed. His bank loans were denied. His social media presence was a ghost town. Every day, he told himself the same story. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I'm wasting my time. I'll never catch up to the others. I should have just taken the safe route. He was speaking what he saw: failure, rejection, and resistance. And that language was shaping his experience. It wasn't just that he felt like a failure, he was living like one. His words wrapped chains around his potential. His self-talk was a cage. Then one night, after another long day of disappointment, Elijah came across a sermon. It wasn't flashy, no loud music, just a voice that said, stop rehearsing your defeat. Start prophesying your destiny. That sentence hit him like lightning. He paused the video, rewound it, played it again, and something broke open inside of him. He realized that he'd been using his mouth to report the struggle instead of releasing the solution. He'd been using his voice to describe the drought instead of declare the rain. So he made a decision. For the next 3 days, no more complaining, no more self-pity, no more what ifs drenched in fear. Only declarations of faith, only words that aligned with the life he wanted to live, not the one he was afraid of. He wrote them down. I am called to greatness. I attract the right people and divine favor. I walk in wisdom, strength, and excellence. My business is a vehicle for impact, abundance, and legacy. I do not quit, I rise. Every morning, he said it out loud before the emails came in, before the challenges showed up. He spoke it until his voice no longer trembled. He declared it until his spirit started to believe it. And something shifted. Within 3 days, he had more clarity. He began showing up differently, more confident, more focused. Clients started responding. People began to notice. His perspective changed, and so did his results. Not overnight, but undeniably. It wasn't magic, it was alignment. See, the most powerful shift you will ever make is the shift in your confession. You can change your location and still carry limitation, but when you change your voice, you change your vibration. You start to move differently. You start to attract what aligns with your new language. That's what most people miss. They think breakthrough comes from doing more, grinding harder, chasing opportunities. But the real breakthrough comes from becoming the version of yourself who speaks like they've already arrived. Because when you speak the end from the beginning, you tell your future, I'm coming for you. And every time you declare it, heaven takes notes. Angels are released. Doors begin to open. Ideas begin to flow. Why? Because faith has a frequency. And when your words match God's promise, the universe bends to make it so. But if your mouth is filled with doubt, don't be surprised if your life is filled with delay. You can't declare defeat and expect victory. You can't rehearse failure and expect favor. You can't speak from wounds and expect to walk in wonder. You have to use your voice to call forth what you cannot yet touch. Just like a gardener plants seeds and waters them with expectation, your words are the water that feeds your future. You don't walk out and see a harvest the day after you plant. But that doesn't mean it isn't growing. The same goes for your vision. Even when you don't feel strong, speak strength. Even when you don't feel capable, speak confidence. Even when everything feels uncertain, speak clarity and peace. Your words are not reaction, they are initiation. So here's what I want you to understand. In the deepest part of your spirit, the way you talk to yourself is the first prophecy you ever receive. And if you can discipline your tongue to speak only what is good, true, aligned, and powerful, your life will begin to move in the direction of your confession. Speak as if God is listening because He is. Speak as if your destiny is waiting because it is. Speak as if your future hears you calling because it does. For just 3 days, speak the end from the beginning. Don't talk about how lonely you are. Declare, I am surrounded by love and purpose. Don't talk about how lost you feel. Say, clarity is flowing to me. I am guided by divine wisdom. Don't talk about how small you feel. Say, I carry weight. I move with power. I walk in authority. Because the truth is, God will meet you at the level of your confession. And if you are bold enough to speak it, He is faithful enough to bring it to pass. You don't have to feel ready, you just have to open your mouth. Speak the end. Declare the vision. Prophesy the outcome. Because the world changes when you do. There is a sacred weight to the hidden season, a divine silence that often feels like abandonment, but is actually protection. There is a mysterious tension between where you are and where you know you're called to be. That gap, the one that aches when you wake up and burns quietly in your chest at night, is not a mistake. It is a workshop, and God is still building. But the tragedy is, many people abort their process with their own mouth. They curse what God is still constructing. They look at the unfinished version of their life, their calling, their body, their business, their relationship, and they call it broken. They speak condemnation over what is still being shaped. They take a snapshot of a moment and judge the entire masterpiece. But just because you don't see the fruit yet doesn't mean the seed is dead. Just because the house is still on scaffolding doesn't mean it's not a home in progress. Just because you're not there yet doesn't mean God isn't guiding every step. You must refuse to curse what God is still building. You see, God doesn't build like man builds. He often starts in the dark. He lays the foundation before He ever shows you the form. He hides you before He ever reveals you. And sometimes the most anointed seasons are the ones nobody sees. But your mouth has power, and when you speak death over what's still developing, you interfere with heaven's work. You disturb the soil. You delay the blessing. You wound your own spirit. So here's the challenge. Talk to yourself like this for just 3 days. Speak to yourself like someone worth fighting for. Speak like someone who's already free. Speak like someone who believes, even if everything around you says quit. Because if your words can shape your world, then your breakthrough is only a few declarations away. And remember, you are not waiting on motivation. You are not waiting on timing. You are not waiting on permission. You're one decision away from changing everything, and it starts with your voice. So talk like a winner. Talk like a warrior. Talk like a child of God. Talk to yourself like this for just 3 days and watch heaven respond.